You know, I want to play this Bill O'Reilly clip. I mean, generally, I don't care what Bill O'Reilly says, but this was interesting because I was listening. I listen to other podcasts occasionally. I walk to work, and so I get to listen to a little bit of it. And I saw that Dan Carlin was on this other one called Tangentially Speaking, which I listen to occasionally. Did you tell me to listen to that Tangentially Speaking?
Is that the Christopher Ryan podcast?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't even know who the host is.
Anyways, yes, Tangentially Speaking, I think, yes, I recommended that to you.
Yeah, and so some of it's good, some of it's not good. It depends on who the guest is.
Very hit or miss.
Very hit or miss. But so he started off a show, and he has the same sort of like, there's a formula now for these type of shows with the interview shows where, the host talks a little bit up front, sort of like I do and sort of like Marin does. And I think I restructured mine sort of like Marin's. And the guy has the same thing. And he's talking about how he posted something on Facebook. And it was a piece that was in some type of medical journal, I can't remember what, arguing that women were genetically superior to men. And he said, he started going about critical reasoning and how this was wrong and the guy seems to be left leaning, and how he posted on Facebook and said, this is an example of very poor critical thinking. Had the author of this piece written, men are genetically superior or whites are genetically superior, people would be outraged. The journal would never publish it. And he got some pushback talking about how he got some pushback saying, you don't understand. There's a fundamental difference when you're talking about a group of people who've been oppressed writing this versus the opposite. I mean, are people following what I'm saying here? This is a big argument that we've seen online here, is that when you, some of this came up with the Charlie Hebdo thing. When you mock an oppressed either minority or an oppressed segment of the population, it is fundamentally different than mocking those who have had the power, even if you mock in the same way. And this guy doesn't understand that concept. And I mean, I don't feel, I'm not as, it doesn't anger me as much, I think, as some. It just doesn't, obviously, because but the point that he doesn't understand is that it is fundamentally different, because when you write that, and I mean, the failure in the critical reasoning, at least in terms of this paragraph that he wrote, was that you are not setting what superior means. You're not setting the context. In our society, let's just put this in general terms, in a society where a certain group of people have been able to dominate, they set up what the definition of merit is. You cannot be superior to one person cannot be superior to another person in a vacuum. Right? I mean, I cannot say I am superior to Matt in a vacuum. I can say I am taller than Matt, and I've now set up what the measure is. Right? We're going to measure who is better based upon height. Or we're going to measure who is better based upon weight. And it could be you weigh more, you're better. If you weigh less, you're a sumo wrestler, you're in better shape if you're bigger. In the context of our society, white males have set up the entire definition of meritocracy. So to say that people rise based upon their merit is not even enough, because if you design the meritocracy based upon what you happen to be best at, then the entire system is going to produce the desired results. You no longer even have to keep one segment of the population artificially subjugated, because the system that you have developed will allow your traits, on average, to provide the most rewards in society. So this is what this guy does not understand. I can argue that women are genetically superior, but the word superior means nothing. They're superior in what way? I mean, if you do not set up what the definition of better is, like what are we measuring it? It doesn't matter. And the fact is that whenever we talk about that, about anybody being better, we're still doing it in the context of a society that has been set up by white males. So any skill sets, any perceptions of time and of success are a function of, in some way, what white males gravitate towards. So they own the meritocracy. They own and that's what I think, fundamentally you can't understand. I mean, it's not a question of feeling guilty that you're a white male, but it is understanding that you have a fundamental advantage, even if you can't see it, because the system that we live in has been set up by people who wanted to advantage themselves, and they also happen to be white male. And that's not to say that every white male is going to succeed in that system. But it's going to mean that, statistically speaking, they have a much better chance. And
also, the reason that they don't succeed isn't because it has anything to do with their whiteness.
The reason they don't succeed, it doesn't have anything to do.
On the contrary, white males.
The idea that you don't succeed because you're a white male is ludicrous.
Yes, exactly.
The reason why you're in the running is because you're a white male. So I guess this was my way of introducing a Bill
You've
O'Reilly
already
clip.
expended more energy on sort of an analysis of
I don't even know
than Bill O'Reilly has ever expended in actually thinking about these issues in his entire career.
It's John Benjamin calling me again.
Oh, good.
But I can't plug him in because I got this thing on.
Hey, Sam.
All right, forget it. I'm not going to pick up the phone and embarrass him. All right, so let's forget about Bill O'Reilly. I don't even need to show the clip, do I?